Good morning. Welcome to the Bell Pollock Legal Show. We're here to talk to you today about workers' compensation. I'm Brad Pollock. Gary Bell's out of town. Alan Jimenez is in the studio with me. We're here every Sunday morning to talk to you about a personal injury topic. We've been doing this for probably 5, 10, at least 5 years, probably closer to 10, every single Sunday morning. If you have a topic you'd like us to talk about, that you want to know about, a personal injury related topic, injuries on the job, any kind of injury that occurs as a result of negligence of others, or might be as a result of negligence of another, give us a call at our offices or get on our website. You can call us at our office, 303-795-5900. Or get on our website, bellpollock.com or championsofthepeople.com, and give us a call. We'll talk to you and we'll learn what your topic is, and we will then cover that topic on our show so we can help you out. We can talk about what's going on. If you've been injured in an accident, if you've sustained any kind of problems and you think you're entitled to recovery, if you've been injured at all and you'd like to talk about your case, call. Talk to us. We'll talk to you. We have an answering service that answers the phone for us 24/7. Lawyers will be contacted. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Obviously, during the week, you can call us and get straight through to our office. That, again, is at 303-795-5900. We'll help to give you a legal game plan. That's what we're about. We want you to know your legal game plan. We want you to know what you can do, know how you can carry out your case, and then you can decide if you want to hire a lawyer, if you want to try and do some work on your case yourself, or what you want to do. It's coming up. Springtime is here. Summertime is coming up. We're looking at a lot of building in Colorado. We're looking at a lot of activity in Colorado, and people are going to get hurt on the job. Now, you've been getting hurt on the job year-round, I know, in the restaurants and in the different areas where you work. But now we've got people out on construction. So all of you are facing potential injuries. And we want to talk to you now about work comp. And we're just going to talk to you today about the basics of work comp. That's it. We're going to talk to you about things that you can expect from your employer, things that you can expect from the insurance company, and how it all works. And Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, Brad. You know, I'd like everybody to realize that the first thing that needs to come to your mind when you're hurt on the job is that you have a potential workers' comp case. And what does that mean? And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to explain some of your rights and obligations if you have a comp case.
Now, you've got to remember, and we've talked about this before, you can get on our websites and see some of our previous shows and be able to listen to them and know what's going on. But when we talk about on the job, sometimes that can be why you're traveling to and from different places on the job.
It's very interesting. There's case law out there that describes when you're on the job. Let me just throw an interesting little fact pattern to open up everybody's mind. You know, if you're a stewardess and you're traveling in another state or even another country, and then you get hurt while you're traveling, even if you're not actually on the plane or even going to and from the plane, you may very well have a workers' comp case. That's how interesting it gets.
There you go. We can also talk about, let's say you're going to take a break for lunch and you go in a car to go somewhere for lunch. There's a chance you're still on the job while you're driving, or you're riding with the drivers to the restaurant where you're going to eat. And you may be on the job when you're coming back.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes if you're on the clock, that's obvious. There's other times that it may not be so obvious, but yet it still may very well be a workers' comp case. Sometimes it takes a lawyer to help you figure that all out. That's why we're here.
So you have to understand the first step of what the employer should do and what you do as an employee. Now, as employees, please understand the first thing you want to do, and you want to make sure is happening. Most employers are good at this. There's going to be some signs posted. There's got to be some postings. And Alan, let's go a little bit into that posting. We talk about what needs to be posted. What do you need to see?
Yeah, a lot of employers, they'll have it, say, in their break room or maybe in a trailer or someplace like that. They're supposed to post up the basic information about what do you do if you have an injury on the job. And should be one of the first things you look for. But if you're at your employer, you're not finding anything like that. If you're not finding any information that's posted up in a break room or copy room or someplace like that, you still have rights, and there's still things that can be done. But that should be maybe a first place to look.
And I really believe you should do that now. If you're listening, or when you get back to work on Monday, or next time you're back to work, look around where the postings are and get an idea. Now, what's going to be posted? What's going to be posted are doctors. What's going to be posted are your rights in the event of an injury. There's going to be posted should be information about what you should do if you're injured. I want you to understand this is when you first get notice of the injury, and you're going, how can you not have notice of the injury? Well, we have industrial injuries that sometimes aren't obvious injuries until you notice that cough won't go away.
Right. Or there's lung diseases that are caused on the job, from exposure to chemicals. There's skin diseases that are caused, and those are all workers' comp cases if you're on the job.
So you want to start getting an idea of what you're dealing with on the job right away, what your injuries are and what needs to be posted. It's like I said, the notice needs to be posted. It's got to tell you if you're injured on the job, written notice of your injury must be given to the employer within 4 working days after the accident. 4 working days after the accident. All right. Now, I don't care if it's as a result of a fight. I don't care if it's as a result of you not following certain procedures. If there are safety procedures, your rights to recovery may be minimized.
Keep in mind, the notice often just starts with telling your boss or telling your supervisor what happened. Describe that maybe you fell while you were at work, or, if you're a construction worker, a hammer fell on your head, or whatever it might be. The first step is usually just telling your employer what happened, and then things happen from there.
Right. Now, here's the first thing you have to understand. If the injury requires you to go to the doctor, that's why there should be some postings telling you the medical facilities you can go to, the doctors you can go see. Mm-hmm. You're entitled to know that. This isn't one where you get hurt, as Alan says, a hammer falls on your head. Okay, now think about all the consequences of that. A hammer falls on your head. That probably means you're on some kind of construction site.
Right. And then you probably have a pretty serious injury. And maybe you can't tell your boss what happened. Maybe you can. But at some point when you can, you should. And they have obligations to help you out in all this.
Right. So if the hammer falls on your head, if you're bleeding, if you need stitches, you need to know where to go right away. Go get the care. You need to write it up for the employer within 4 days of the injury. Is there going to be a question about not wearing a hard hat? Maybe. I can advise all of you that you face a potential, if you've not done what you're supposed to be doing, you face a potential problem that could put you into a situation where you can lose up to half of your benefits that you're entitled to.
Yeah, what Brad's talking about there is a safety violation. So you could essentially be punished in your benefits if you broke a safety rule.
Right. And if you break the safety rule, anybody who works out there understands you got to have hard hats. You got to. If roofers, you have certain rules you have to follow as a roofer. I don't even think plumbers and electricians are allowed to walk into a house construction without a hard hat. And you're going, well, if you're plumbing, how's something going to fall on your head? Because the roofer might be above you.
Right. And even if you did break a safety rule, you still have rights and benefits. All they can do is attempt to decrease those benefits.
That's exactly right. Now, so the first thing is within 4 days, get your claim made. So we've talked about what the employer has to do to begin with. They have to have things posted. And as Alan said, I can remember years ago when I worked construction, I did work as a plumber, and I can remember that there was a general, actually kind of like trailer, where that was where the management sat, and that's where all the people were, and that's where you went and checked in, and they made sure you were on the job. And then you go out to the houses. You go out to the rows of houses that were being built, and you'd go out and you do your work in the houses.
Yeah, and I've worked in various scenarios, different employers in my life. I can think of one right now. I worked as a busboy in a restaurant when I was real young, and I specifically remember they had a poster in the back room that talked about workers' comp rights.
So if you haven't seen those, stop by and look at them. If you have seen them, you've just seen these things hanging, take a second to read them. And that way, if an injury comes up, you're at least going to have general knowledge, and you're also going to have an idea where that information is. If you have to go, I represented a person years ago who got shot by one of those nail guns, and he was shot in the knee, and it caused quite a bit of injury to the knee because it went in at just the bad location where it caused a lot of injury. Well, you don't want to have to stop while he's got a couple of nails sticking out of his knee to figure out what you should do. Instead, you want to have pretty good knowledge that, hey, this guy we need to call a doctor. We can go to the doctor. Here's the facilities we can go to. Let's get down to the facilities. And we're going to have time to be able to report this to the employer, to be able to take care of it. But in the meantime, you want to be able to go down to the hospital. And one of the first things the hospital is going to say, if you say you're injured on the job, they're going to ask you, what's your work comp?
What's your work comp insurance, right?
Who's your employer?
Yeah. But what if these folks don't, they don't have a sign in their work or no information like that and they're hurt? Brad, they can still do something about it, right?
They can still do something about it. If there's nothing posted, then you're going to be able to go to the doctor. Just go. Get down to the emergency room, get down to the doctor. And this is where now all of a sudden the employer is in violation.
Right.
And
how about when they talk to their supervisor and they say, I was in this accident, and the boss says something like, well, too bad for you. I can't help you. They can still do something about it, right?
They most certainly can. That's when you're going to, obviously, the best thing you can do then is get a lawyer. But you can obviously report them to the Division of Work Comp. And when we report them to the Division of Work Comp, the division is going to check into it to make sure that employer is insured. And if the employer is not insured, there's more problems. You're listening to the Bell and Pollock Legal Show. We come to you every Sunday morning to talk to you about your legal rights when you've been injured in any way, shape, or form. We talk to you about it, whether it's as a result of a car accident, a boating accident. Every week we cover a different topic, and we want you to listen to us so you can know what your legal rights are. We're going to take a short break and come back and talk to you more about your rights in the work comp area when you've been hurt. We'll be right back.
Ready for an extraordinary lunch? As fast or as slow as you want it? With all fresh ingredients? Caitlin's Restaurant has it all. Express lunches that won't keep you waiting. Or if you prefer, lunch served in that old-fashioned homemade style. All made fresh on the spot. Whether it's a fresh-made sandwich with homemade chips, quesadilla loaded with cheddar or jack cheeses, or scratch-made soups, you'll find everything you love at Caitlin's. Caitlin's is located on Mississippi just east of Colorado Boulevard next to Bookies. How about green chili chicken stew? Think about a variety of fresh-made sandwiches or 11 different kinds of burgers made to order with 1/2 pound of the finest USDA choice lean ground beef. You might favor a homemade New Mexican recipe with carne adobada burritos, chicken enchiladas, carnitas burritos, served with hash browns, special recipe beans, cheeses with guacamole, and your choice of homemade red or green chili sauces. For those who prefer the lighter side, there are fresh made salads and lighter fares, sure to delight. Try Caitlin's for lunch or breakfast on Mississippi just east of Colorado Boulevard next to Bookies. Call 303-798-6600. You'll love it every bite of the way.
You're on your way to the store, then boom, you're T-boned at 45 miles per hour. Instead of shopping, you're on your way to the ER. Then comes the doctor visits, prescriptions, therapy, diagnostics, ongoing treatment, and the limitations. You have range of motion problems. Then the ultimate insult. The insurance company makes you feel like the crash was your fault. You need a legal game plan. You want a legal game plan. At Bell & Pollock, we've used over 25 years of experience to develop a legal game plan just for you. Our game plan has injury rules, rules of treatment, rules of claims, insurance company rules, litigation rules, rules they use to beat you. Now you can have them and know them and use them to protect you and your family. Our Bell & Pollock legal game plan gives you the rules the insurance company doesn't want you to have, or know, or use. But guess what? We do. At Bell & Pollock, success is no accident. Find us at championsofthepeople.com. That's championsofthepeople.com. Get your free initial consult and your free legal game plan. We'll help you.
Welcome back to the Bell & Pollock Legal Show. We're here talking today about work comp rights. What are your workers' compensation rights if you've been hurt on the job? And when we say hurt on the job, we mean globally. If you've been hurt carrying out your responsibilities, any part of your job, you need to pay attention to that because you may not think you're entitled to work comp when you are. And that's important because there are benefits that you're going to want to know about. I'm Brad Pollock. I'm here with Alan Jimenez. We're the law firm of Bell & Pollock. We're here talking to you about this particular topic this week. We do it every week. We talk to you about a topic. We're happy to talk to you about any injury you've sustained, whether it be on the job or not on the job. If you think it's the responsibility of somebody else, you give us a call, 303 888-795-5900, or get on the website, talk to us, bellpollock.com or championsofthepeople.com. We're not going to rush you to some kind of settlement. We're not going to make a bunch of phony claims. Oh, we can get you this claim or that settlement or this settlement. We deal with you individually. We make sure your case is important. We make sure we take care of you. We're not going to say, oh, we can value your case the minute you walk in the door. We're going to do the necessary work to take care of you.
Yep. And Brad, we're going to cover a lot of things today that they may sound a little bit complicated to the general public. And, frankly, they are complicated. And that's why you should be able to call us and ask us questions in the future if you think you have a workers' comp case, because we're not going to make a lawyer out of you in a few minutes. We just want to sort of skim over some very important topics so that you can realize what the issues are when something comes up in your life.
That's exactly right. And we're going to bring you in. We're going to sit down with you free of charge. We'll talk to you. Normally our meetings take an hour or more. We'll sit free of charge and do that. And we're going to talk to you about your legal rights. We're going to help you put together a legal game plan. And once we put together a legal game plan for you, we're going to let you decide what you want to do. We're not going to high pressure you. We're not going to browbeat you, and we're not going to mislead you. We're going to let you know what's going on.
And a couple of things we're going to talk about regarding workers' comp are medical benefits and medical bills. And what do you do about all that? How do you get medical care? Who do you get it from? Who pays your medical bills? Are you entitled to wage benefits? That's a couple of things we're going to talk about now.
Well, let's talk right about it, Alan. It's a good topic to go into. We're talking about medical benefits. If you've been hurt and it's job related, if you have an illness that's job related, if you have a sickness that's job related, you have the right to get recovery and have the medical bills paid for you to recover from that injury.
Right. Medical bills are extremely important for injured workers. And, the workers' comp insurance companies are obligated to pay all of your accident-related medical bills. And you have to start off by seeing their doctors. And Brad, if I decide I'm an injured worker and I decide, well, I want to go see my chiropractor, who's my personal chiropractor, what's going to happen there?
Could have a problem with that. Depends on how the chiropractor comes down. Normally, what's going to happen is to begin with, the employer is going to give you this choice of certain doctors. And when I say the employer, it really is the insurance company working for the employer. It's going to give you the choice of certain doctors, and you need to choose among those doctors. Now, there are processes by which, if you have a reason, and there's a good reason, that you don't want the doctor that the employer has and you want to change doctors, you can do that.
And keep in mind that the workers' comp system is a complicated series of state statutes, and there's rules upon rules upon rules and thousands of different rules, and there are many time deadlines. And let me just give you an example. On the change of doctors issue alone, you may have to do that within 90 days after the date of injury, or, before you reach maximum medical improvement. So here's timelines and dates and words that are pretty involved. And what do you think, Brad?
I think what's important is you understand that there are different doctors who have different attitudes about things. And what we're talking about, really, Alan, is that you need to be able to look at these doctors, you need to be able to look at the people, and you need to say, okay, do I have a competent, good doctor? But you need to talk to a lawyer, because just being completely frank about it, you have some doctors who we would call patient advocates, and we have some doctors who are not patient advocates.
Right. So these doctors are often hand chosen by the insurance industry, the workers' comp insurance industry. And, there's good ones, there's bad ones, there's fair ones, there's not so fair ones. And you just have to be careful, because you may very well end up at a doctor's office who, their bills are being paid by the workers' comp insurance company. And, they may be giving good medical care, but they're not always in your corner. That's what you need what for, Brad?
That's what you need a lawyer.
That's what you need a lawyer for, right.
And here's the thing. When you're talking about the doctors, they have to be certified by work comp. They have to be certified. They're work comp certified doctors. So that's another thing. When the employer gets the choices of doctors, they're told, here's the doctors and emergency rooms in your vicinity of where your location is. So your injured person can get to a vicinity or to a medical care very quickly. But then they say, here's the doctors you can choose from. You have to go to one of those. You can change doctors. They've all passed certain certifications at work comp. If they're not certified work comp doctors, and there's still a doctor you go to, you probably don't want to go to your doctor if it's not certified, because you're going to have a lot of trouble having that doctor believed by the work comp judges at a later time.
Brad, can you think of a reason why the employer may not be so cooperative with an injured worker?
The only reason you can get, really, and employers are very cognizant of this, is that when the employer pays for the insurance for the work comp, it's based on a lot of times the amount of claims. It's based on what they're facing as far as expenses. It's based on whether or not the claims have been very big and how much money's been paid out. It's based on their safety record. And so, you go to a place where they say, we haven't had a claim in 10 years because the employer is doing certain things to make sure people are safe and people have been safe. That insurance is going to be lower than if the next place next door who's had a lot of claims.
And here's what's unfair about that. An employer, everybody's cost conscious these days, and especially employers and companies. But what's really unfair about that is that the law requires them to have workers' comp insurance. That's the law. And that is designed to protect people. And, they shouldn't be getting angry, upset, evasive. They shouldn't be like that when a person is asking for their rightful benefits, right?
If the employer is a good employer, the employer realizes this could cost me money, but they should be saying the whole purpose of all this is to make sure our employees are taken care of. They're getting medical care. Because, Alan, we know if you've been injured more than 3 days or you miss more than 3 shifts, you now have the right to income benefits. 2/3 of your average weekly wage.
Right. If you miss more than 3 days or shifts from work, you are entitled to wage replacement benefits, they call it.
And that's 2/3 of your average weekly wage. And this is going to be paid by the insurance companies. And yes, it might affect the employer's premium, but good employers realize that that's the way you take care of employees. Good employers should feel good about that. They should want to make sure they have work comp and their people are covered.
Right. Look at the family situation. You take a head of household earner who's supporting a whole family, a wife, 3-4 kids, and he's got his leg cut off or his arm cut off or something like that. There's no more money coming in because he can't return to work. Honestly, what should he get? He should get his wages and benefits paid, right?
And that makes sense. It makes sense. It should be done. He should make sure that all his medical bills are paid. And that's the purpose of the work comp. So if you've been injured, the first step you have to do is you have to make sure you get it reported. We've talked about the first step you want to do when you get employed is to make sure your employer has work comp. If your employer doesn't have work comp, yes, there's penalties. Yes, there's problems, and the employer can be in trouble. But a lot of times if the employer isn't buying work comp, they're not going to be solvent. They're not going to have the finances and the money to pay the fines and to pay your bills anyway.
Yeah, and even if they don't have the insurance, they're still liable for the claim itself.
Right, but sometimes you can't get blood out of a turnip. Right. And so the first thing is make sure that all this stuff is posted. Second thing is if you're hurt, go get the medical care, report it in writing to your employer so there's no question.
What if they miss medical appointments that they're supposed to take on?
It's not good. You can still go to the medical appointments you need to go, but all that's being reported.
Yeah, they could even terminate benefits if you don't make appointments, right?
That's right. And they're going to watch that. It gets reported. Keep going to the medical care. If you miss the medical care, have a good reason why you missed it. Call the doctors, call and let them know what's going on. The doctor's going to decide when you can return to work. If the doctor returns you to work, you want to make sure you go. If you disagree with the doctor returning you to work, you need to be able to then. Obviously, this is when you absolutely need a lawyer, but you can contest that. And sometimes they'll put you on light duty or restricted duty, and the employer has to see if they have a position for you.
Here's something I'd like the public to realize. You use the word contest. Now, the workers' comp system involves the division of labor, and it's sort of a court system. They call it an administrative judge that sits down there. And the whole thing is this. If you have an issue and you have a pending workers' comp case, and you have a dispute and things aren't going your way, there's a potential then to have a case in front of the Division of Labor, have a lawyer represent you, and have a judge tell the workers' comp insurance company what they're doing wrong and have things determined in your favor, right?
There is. And the thing you want to remember on that is it can be streamlined. It's still a process. It's still one you have to have a lawyer with. You have to have somebody represent you and take care of you. But it can be streamlined as opposed to the very cumbersome way we do personal injury cases. And I'm not criticizing personal injury cases. What I am telling you is you need to be watching what you're doing and don't be afraid to contest it and assert your rights. That's what you want out of your lawyer.
That's right. And so, in other words, when you have a workers' comp case, you don't use the typical civil court system that we use in personal injury cases and other claims. You are obligated to use the workers' comp system when you have an injury on the job.
You're listening to the Bell and Pollock Legal Show. We're here talking to you about work comp today. It was just a general overview of what your work comp rights are. If you've been hurt on the job, you have rights. You need to talk to a lawyer about your rights. Bell and Pollock will talk to you. Bell and Pollock has work comp lawyers. We have people who know the system, who go out and deal with the system, who go down to the administrative law judge, who goes down to the division, who handles your cases, who knows what the responsibilities are on all sides. And you need to talk to us. We'll help you get your claim properly litigated and get your proper recovery. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk to you the last couple of minutes about just general things to wind up the program. If you have any questions, you call us, bellpollock.com, championsofthepeople.com, or call us at 303-795-5900. We'll be right back.
Ready for an extraordinary lunch? As fast or as slow as you want it? With all fresh ingredients? Caitlin's Restaurant has it all. Express lunches that won't keep you waiting. Or if you prefer, lunch served in that old-fashioned homemade style. All made fresh on the spot. Whether it's a fresh-made sandwich with homemade chips, quesadilla loaded with cheddar or jack cheeses, or scratch-made soups, you'll find everything you love at Caitlin's. Caitlin's is located on Mississippi just east of Colorado Boulevard next to Bookies. How about green chili chicken stew? Think about a variety of fresh-made sandwiches or 11 different kinds of burgers made to order with 1/2 pound of the finest USDA choice lean ground beef. You might favor a homemade New Mexican recipe with carne adobada burritos, chicken enchiladas, carnitas burritos, served with hash browns, special recipe beans, cheeses with guacamole, and your choice of homemade red or green chili sauces. For those who prefer the lighter side, there are fresh made salads and lighter fares, sure to delight. Try Caitlin's for lunch or breakfast on Mississippi, just east of Colorado Boulevard next to Bookies. Call 303-798-6600. You'll love it every bite of the way.
You're on your way to the store, then boom, you're T-boned at 45 miles per hour. Instead of shopping, you're on your way to the ER. Then comes the doctor visits, prescriptions, therapy, diagnostics, ongoing treatment, and the limitations. You have range of motion problems. Then the ultimate insult. The insurance company makes you feel like the crash was your fault. You need a legal game plan. You want a legal game plan. At Bell & Pollock, we've used over 25 years of experience to develop a legal game plan just for you. Our game plan has injury rules, rules of treatment, rules of claims, insurance company rules, litigation rules, rules they use to beat you. Now you can have them and know them and use them to protect you and your family. Our Bell & Pollock legal game plan gives you the rules the insurance company doesn't want you to have, or know, or use. But guess what? We do. At Bell & Pollock, success is no accident. Find us at championsofthepeople.com. That's championsofthepeople.com. Get your free initial consult and your free legal game plan. We'll help you.
Welcome back to the Bell and Pollock Legal Show. We're Brad Pollock, Alan Jimenez. We're here talking to you about your legal rights in the event you've been hurt on the job. If you've been hurt on the job or anything surrounding the job or involved with your job, you need to come talk to us. You need to check us out on our website, bellpollock.com or championsofthepeople.com. You need to call us at 303-795-5900. We'll give you a free meeting. We'll talk to you. We'll give you a legal game plan for free that we can talk about. And if you need representation or want it, we'll represent you. Alan, we've been talking for a while. What would you say are our parting words that we want to tell people?
Well, why don't we jump right to the end of our show, just like we jumped to the end of a workers' comp case. You know, at one point on all workers' comp cases, there's an issue of settlement. And so all claimants and their lawyers, if you have one, have to decide, do I settle a case and how much do I settle it for? And so we have issues that have to be dealt with before you settle a case. For example, is the rating correct? And many, many issues. And Brad, so it's don't settle a case until you're fully informed and you've at least called a lawyer, and hopefully it's us, and we can tell you if it's the right thing to do.
And that means what he's telling you, when somebody says you've reached MMI, maximum medical improvement, when they send you a final admission of liability, that should have bells going off in your mind that you need to call your lawyer immediately. Final admissions of liability can hurt you, even though they sound good.
And don't sign a settlement release till you know what you're doing.
Right. And if they're giving you a rating, you make sure you contact us. You've been listening to the Bell Pollock Legal Show. We're here every Sunday morning to talk to you about your legal rights if you've been hurt, to talk to you about how the system works and let you know, make sure you're educated to know what you need to do. Next week, we're going to talk about a new topic. We hope to have you back then. Alan, thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Brad. I've enjoyed it.
Alan will be back. He's a great lawyer, and we're happy to have him in our firm. Till next week, we'll see you. You all stay safe and make sure that hopefully you don't get hurt on the job. But if you do, please give us a call, 303-795-5900, bellpollock.com or championsofthepeople.com.